everyone, welcome to Virtual Board. My name is Vishal Bajpayee. This is going to be the first hands-on video in which we'll be creating an application based out of Microfrontend web architecture. We will be creating a host app and a remote app using native federation. And if you don't know about native federation, I have already created one video explaining about native federation and Microfrontend. This is the video, so I'll suggest you to watch that video first if you have not watched that video before watching the current video. Talking about the current video, in this video we'll be discussing on how can we do a basic setup for a host application as well as the remote application. So let's start the video. I have opened my terminal to show you the Angular version that I am using. So for this project I am using the Angular version 17, Node version 18.20.8, NPM version 10.8.2. Native Federation only supports the Angular version 17 and versions greater than 17. That's why I will suggest you to use the Angular version 17 or a version greater than that if you are working on a Microfrontend web architecture using Native Federation. Now if you will see, I have created a blank folder, VB playlist videos, inside which I will be creating a host application and a remote application. So I have opened this folder in my VS Code. Now I will open a new terminal, and to create a new application we will use the same command ng new and then project name. So our first task is to create a host application. So I'll say ng new host underscore app. And this is a basic way of creating an Angular application. Now this command will generate all the required files for this project. The project has been created. Now I will change directory and I will go inside this project, and now I will do ng-serve to see if our project is running or not. So the build has been completed successfully and it is running locally on localhost 4200. You can see this is running. I will go back to my VS Code. I will open another terminal, and inside the same folder VB playlist, inside this same folder I will create a Microfrontend application also, or a remote app. So I will do that. Similarly, I will just name it mfe_1 just to distinguish between the host application and the remote application. I'll press enter. If you want to know more about how to create an Angular application, I have created few videos on my channel that you can see if you are not aware on how can we actually create a new Angular application. Now this project has also been created. Now I will change directory and I will go inside mfe1 and I will try to run this application as well. So it is saying port 4200 is already in use. Would you like to use different port? I'll say yes for now and I'll press enter. The build has started and completed, and our remote application or the other application is running on port 58859 locally. Now both the applications are running fine. There are no issues. This was our step number 1. Now step number 2, and the main step is to do the configuration for native federation inside our host application and Microfrontend application. So first of all we will do it for the host application, and we need to install or add the dependency in package.json file. So there is this command npm install @angular-architects/native federation. This command will install this dependency and this will get added in the package.json file. So if you will see the package.json file clearly, you will see that this has been added as a dependency. But we have made one mistake. If you can see, the version that has been added is 20.0.7, which is incompatible with the Angular version that we are using. This will give us peer dependencies or compilation errors. So we do not have to make such mistakes. So what I'll do, I'll uninstall it for now. I made this mistake intentionally to show you. These are some of the basic mistakes that we do when we are creating or when we are working on Microfrontend architecture. Okay, if you can see now that has been removed or uninstalled, what we'll do, I will again run this command, but this time we have to specify the version also. So we will use the version that is compatible to the version of Angular we are using. So that's why I just need to add at the rate 17.0.0, and then if I will press enter, it will install the dependency, the same version that we want. So if you can see, it has been added successfully. Now same thing we need to do for our remote app also. So I will change directory, I will collapse this, and now I will expand Microfrontend 1. Now in this package.json, if you see, this has not been added yet as a dependency. So we will run the same command, npm install @angular-architects /native federation, and then providing the version, a specific version. Now it has been added here also. So our step number 2 has been completed for both the applications. Now we need to do the configuration for native federation, and that is the step number 3. So let's see how can we do that. First of all, we will do the configuration for the host application, and then we will do configuration for our remote app. This is the command which we'll be using. This command is used to configure native federation in an Angular project, enabling the project to act as a host application in Microfrontend setup. Native federation allows multiple applications to share and load modules dynamically, improving scalability and modularity in large projects. So we have also used few flags here. So let's see what is their use. So if you can see this last flag that says type dynamic host, this flag specifies the type of native federation setup. The dynamic host type means the application will act as a dynamic host capable of loading remote modules at runtime. Then the second flag is port flag that says 4200. So this flag sets the port number for the shell application. When running the application, it will be served on localhost 4200. And then this flag, that is project flag, where we have given the name of the project. This flag specifies the name of the Angular project where native federation should be initialized. In this case, the project name is host-app. And this init, this is used to tell that we are using Microfrontend architecture, and we need to initialize this for native federation web architecture. Now we will press enter, and you will see a federation.config.js file has been created. We will discuss about this file at the end of the video. For now, this is what we need to do to set up the native federation, or to enable the Microfrontend web architecture, or to enable this application to serve as a host. Okay, so now I have changed my location to MFE1 in terminal. Now in this case also we need to run the same command. Okay, but there are few changes that we need to do. The first change is that in place of type, when it's a remote application, we write remote, so that native federation knows that this application has to be treated as a remote app or a micro front end. Now we need to also change the port, so we will say 4201. We want to run it on locally 4201 every time you build your program. We also need to change the name of the project. The name of the project will be MFE1. Rest all the things will be same, and we'll press enter. You will see a federation.config file will be generated for Microfrontend 1 also. Okay, we have made a mistake. We need to provide underscore for MFE1. Now if you will press enter, it will create a federation.config file that will have following configuration. Now these were all the basic steps, or the 3 steps that we need to do to configure native federation into any Angular application. So let us discuss about federation.config.js file. This file federation.config.js is a configuration file for setting up native federation in an Angular project using the @Angular architect /native federation library. Okay, let's see what is happening in this file. We'll just go line by line. So if you can see on the first line where we are basically defining the imports. So this with native federation, this is a helper function provided by the library to simplify the configuration of native federation for the Angular application. And this share all, this is a utility function to share all dependencies automatically with configurable options like singleton, strict versioning, etc. that you are seeing here. This command is used to, or this function is used for exporting the configurations. On the next line, we are defining the name of the project or name of the application in which we have configured native federation. And as this is a remote applications federation.config.js file, it contains an exposes object that defines the modules or components that this microfrontend exposes to the other applications. In the current case, you can see that app component.ts is exported under the alias of slash component. Then comes the shared object. So this specifies the dependencies that should be shared between federated applications. It contains few key value pairs like singleton. This ensures that only one instance of each shared dependency is used across all applications. If there are multiple dependencies, so we only want them to load once, that's why we have used singleton true. Then there is strict version true, that enforces strict version matching for shared dependencies. And then there is required version auto, so it automatically determines the required version based on the application's package.json file. And then if you can see the last array, that is skip, this list packages that should not be included in the shared dependencies. This is useful for excluding modules that are not needed at runtime, and it basically helps in reducing the bundle size. So if you talk about the overall purpose of this file, so this configuration file is used to set up a micro frontend that exposes its components or modules using this exposes object. It shares dependencies like Angular and RxJS with strict versioning and singleton enforcement, and it also helps in skipping the unnecessary RxJS modules or any Angular modules that are not needed during the runtime to optimize the build. So this was all about the federation.config.js file. Now, as this video will become too long, so we'll be ending this video right now. And now in the next video, we'll be seeing how can we consume this exposed app.component.ts file in our host application. So this was all about this video. If you want to connect with me one-on-one, then you can connect with me via TopMate. The link is in the description. If you have any doubts, you can ask me there, or you can comment down on the videos. If you want more videos on micro frontend, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching the video.